Welcome to The Explainer. All right, today we are diving deep into some truly mind-bending anomalies from our ancient past. We're talking about artifacts and structures that are so baffling, they seem to completely shatter the official timeline of history. So get ready because we're about to explore some pretty compelling evidence that suggests there's a forgotten chapter of humanity, one that might have been way more advanced than we've ever been told. You know, researcher Jay Anderson mentioned this on Joe Rogan's show, and it just perfectly captures what we're doing today. We're going to dive into some ideas that are, kind of on the fringe of archaeology, stuff that might sound a little silly when you first hear it, but is actually backed up by some serious evidence that is getting really, really hard to just ignore. So first stop on our journey, Peru. Now, you've probably heard of the Nazca Lines, right? But we're looking at something found there that is honestly even stranger. They're called the tridactyl mummies. These are these small, mummified beings with features that are just not human. And man, do they open up a whole universe of questions. And look, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The second you see these things, your gut reaction might be to just scream hoax. I get it. But the deeper you dig into the actual physical evidence, the more complicated that answer gets. A lot more complicated. Okay, so what's so bizarre here is just the sheer variety. It's not like they found just one type of creature. We're seeing small beings with 3 fingers and 3 toes, reptilian-looking skin, and some of them were even found with large eggs inside them. But then, get this, there's another, larger specimen that seems way more mammalian. It actually has a fetus inside, not in an egg. It's almost like stumbling upon a whole lineup of weird biological prototypes. And this is where that simple hoax theory really starts to fall apart. See, modern CT scans are showing a biological complexity that seems next to impossible to fake. Like researcher Jay Anderson points out, sure, you could maybe glue some bones together to make a weird skeleton, but you can't fake the intricate network of capillaries, you can't fake heart valves, you can't fake fully intact organs that these scans are picking up. That level of detail is a major, major problem for the skeptics. And here is where it gets another layer stranger. When you look at the local context, research that filmmaker Jesse Michaels has highlighted suggests that the original name for the Nazca region can be translated to something like the Laboratory of Insemination and Cloning. I mean, is that just a wild coincidence? Or could it be an ancient memory, something literally encoded in the language of the land itself? The mystery in Peru, though, isn't just biological. It's also geological. The incredible, impossible engineering of its megalithic sites presents a puzzle that is literally set in stone. And it's made with construction techniques that still baffle modern engineers. So the conventional story is that the Inca built these massive structures with, bronze chisels and stone hammers. But when you actually go and look at a site like Sacsayhuaman, that explanation just falls apart. You're seeing these massive, multi-ton stones that look like they were softened like marshmallows and then squished perfectly into place with absolutely no mortar. And what's so wild is you can see the 2 different styles right there next to each other. You've got the known Inca masonry, smaller, rough-cut stones, all held together with mortar, but then built right on top of it or next to it are these shattered megalithic walls made of these colossal blocks. The paradox here is that the older work looks way more advanced, and it seems to have survived some kind of cataclysm that the newer, simpler construction didn't. And the mystery goes deeper, literally. Recent archaeological digs at Sacsayhuaman are now unearthing these same precision-carved stone blocks 10 meters. That's over 30 feet below the current ground level. This adds real physical evidence to those old Andine legends that talked about a vast underground labyrinth that connected all these sacred sites. Okay. So here's where things get really mind-bending. What if these anomalies in Peru weren't just an isolated case? What if they were part of a global pattern, a clue to a forgotten chapter of human history that stretches all the way across continents? So check this out. In Peru, at these huge megalithic sites like Ollantaytambo, you find these really distinctive protruding knobs on the massive stone blocks. For decades, archaeologists have been debating what they were for, and nobody has a clear answer. Okay, now hold that image in your mind, because then you travel halfway across the planet to some of the most ancient sites in Egypt, and what do you find? The exact same inexplicable stone knobs. It's a very specific architectural signature that just pops up in 2 places that supposedly had 0 contact with each other. So, what does this mean? Is it just a massive, unbelievable coincidence? Or does it actually point to a shared technology, maybe a shared culture? Or could it even be the same builders working across the entire globe in deep antiquity, long, long before our history books even begin? And the parallel goes even deeper than just stonework. Just like we're seeing evidence of these huge underground systems in Peru, recent ground-penetrating radar scans under the Giza Plateau in Egypt, well, they're suggesting a similar reality, a vast artificial complex kilometers deep into the bedrock. So it seems like massive underground construction is another one of these shared signatures. So, if these sites all across the world are connected, it forces us to ask two enormous questions. Who on earth were these builders, and where did they go? And the answer, well, it might require us to completely rethink the entire timeline of civilization as we know it. One really compelling answer might lie in a major geological event that scientists call the Younger Dryas. This was a period of sudden, cataclysmic climate change. The leading theory is that a comet impact triggered this whole thing, causing massive floods and fires that effectively hit a global reset button and may have wiped an advanced, prehistoric civilization right off the map. The author Graham Hancock famously summed up this whole idea by calling us a species with amnesia. The theory suggests that maybe modern humans aren't the pinnacle of this long, slow climb of progress. Instead, maybe we're the traumatized survivors of a great forgetting, slowly rebuilding our world on the ruins of a much older, much more advanced one. And this is where you run into this huge paradox. We're taught that the people of the Neolithic, the Stone Age, were primitive hunter-gatherers. And yet the structures they left behind, like Stonehenge, show an incredible mastery of advanced mathematics, astronomy, engineering, and even a knowledge of telluric currents, these natural electromagnetic currents that flow through the Earth itself. The supposed timeline and the technology just don't add up at all. So what does this all mean for us today? Well, these aren't just dusty old mysteries. They connect directly to some of the biggest, most profound questions we are asking right now about our own place in the universe. It's fascinating, isn't it? A lot of the researchers digging into these ancient anomalies, people like Jay Anderson, often find themselves confronting modern unexplained phenomena, like UFOs. And it just begs the question, are these totally separate subjects? Or are they maybe two sides of the exact same coin? Part of one continuous story about humanity's interaction with something that's just beyond our current understanding. And so we end up right back where we started, with a question that could reframe our entire history. All this evidence we've looked at, the impossible engineering, the global connections, the geological scars of a great cataclysm, it all points to one really unsettling possibility. Are we really who we think we are? Or could we actually be a species with amnesia, living out our lives among the ruins of a forgotten age? Now that is something to think about.